Janice is here.
No, we got people in the chat already.
Oh, we're not live yet. I got to wait till it pops up on the tablet. We're technically live. We're just not broadcasting.
Well, it's weird. A lot of times it's like you'll say, it'll go live and you say, hey, we're live. Sometimes it goes live and you stand here for a minute. So I doubt
it
it
takes a long time sometimes, as you can see, for it to actually happen. So there we go. Hey, everybody. We are live. I'm here with Steve tonight.
Hey. Are both mics working?
I checked audio. Well, yeah, I can see both audios working right now. So I think you got audio. If there's any problem with Steve's audio, let us know. Well,
can you guys hear me fine? Can you hear me fine?
All right, let me get my comments switched over to my all comments. All right, Janice, how are you this evening?
Hello, Janice.
Art Knight, how are you this evening?
Ark's here a little early.
All right, we got good audio on Steve. Mike, hello.
Hey, Mike.
Zany, the machine made it. And Dade, hello.
Hey, Dade.
All right, you can see the empty tank over my shoulder back there that we're going to be working on. But let us just get started with the normal feeding. We're going to go through that, although we are going to sort of rush our way through it. And then we'll get to working on the tank. But we're not going to be doing I don't know. It just I'm just preparing you that it's not going to be like some evenings long event. I'm basically going to be filling it with gravel, putting a couple plants in it, filling it with water, and then throwing some fish at it. So it's not going to be a huge deal, but we are going to put that tank back together. I'm mostly going to put back in it what I took out of the 40. So it's literally almost just a tank swap. It's goldfish, so I don't have a lot of options. I can't do a lot of scaping with woodwork and rocks. I don't want them getting injured, banging into anything. I don't want their fins getting torn. I don't want them getting stuck anywhere. So it's going to have to be like an empty kind of tank, you know? And then, of course, goldfish are voracious when it comes to vegetation, so I can't really do a lot in the way of a planted tank. So we're probably just going to do the gravel and a couple of Anubias in there. I'm going to put the old filters back on the back, and that's about it. But we will be getting to that, here in a little while.
You even mentioned that they gnaw the Anubias, and that's a tough, not good, tasty plant that many fish gnaw on.
Goldfish. Well, I think Steve mentioned earlier that it's goldfish don't ever get thought of as being like voracious plant-eating type fish.
Yeah, but they're definitely vacuums.
But
like
they do.
If they can eat it, they're going to.
Yeah, goldfish destroy plants. All right, let's get caught up on some comments here, see who we got viewing.
Yeah, I get horrible service down here, so I can't keep up on my phone.
I'll give you my Wi-Fi password one time so you can log in. It's like a long-ass code. It's upstairs in the office. I can get it for you. You could go upstairs and ask Chrissy. She'll give it to you.
No, it's fine.
Shirley, how are you? Shamu. All right. Just getting caught up to all the hellos.
How many people are watching?
Bob.
Hey, Bob.
We got 17 people watching right now.
Nice.
We were up to 21 for a minute there. All right, let's move on. I was going to say we'll go feed the goldfish tank, but there's nothing in it yet, so we're not going to be feeding this tank just yet. So that's the tank. Steve put the measurements into a calculator, and it comes up saying that, thanks, Steve.
Yep.
Comes up saying that it's like 61 gallons or something, but it was sold as a 60. And the thing I don't like about it is what I knew about it, is the dimensions. It's so shallow front to back. I'm used to the depth of this big tank sitting here. I mean, you can see the size of gap behind between the tank and the wall. So that's going to take a little getting used to. But I think overall, the goldfish are going to have a lot more room to swim around.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have a lot more up, down.
Yeah, they'll definitely have a lot more up and down to deal with in this tank.
Yeah, volumetrically, it's definitely much larger. But, just area space is a footprint. The 40's a little bigger.
Yeah, so on that point, I probably won't even use all of the substrate that I had in the original tank because of the smaller actual footprint. It's going to just take up less, substrate to get it all on the bottom. Because it's just going to have a few anubias in there. I don't need a really deep amount of substrate.
You only had about what, inch and a half?
Yeah,
in
it
there?
only had an inch or two in there in
so
the first place.
It might take it up to 1 3/4 inches. Overall,
that's my point, is I don't even have to put all of it in there. If I do, it'll be deep. But if we're not going to have to add substrate from any other source, is what I'm saying. I do have a whole bucket full of just regular aquarium gravel, just the generic stuff. It's kind of tan colored, and I had brought that in because I was thinking, well, it's a bigger tank, I'm going to need more substrate. And then when I actually looked at it, I was like, no, we can take that back. We're not going to need all that substrate because I got a bucket full of it in here.
Yeah, when you had told me it was a 60, my brain saw a different tank. I was thinking a short 75 footprint rather than a tall 55 footprint.
So that's what we're going to be putting back in there. You can see we're just going to put the filters back on it, and then you can see it's just a lot of sand and gravel. I separated all the big rocks that were in there out. I put them in there before when I had it set up, just visually, but I'd never set up a goldfish tank before. And over time, I realized that the rocks were a mistake, and I shouldn't have put them in there. They didn't really add a lot visually. I had to remove any that were standing upright or had any sharp, jagged edges. So all I had was basically a lot of flat rocks on the bottom. And all that amounted to was trapped space where stuff was down in the substrate, would get under the flat rocks and then couldn't circulate or move around. And so they served no purpose, and in fact actually made the tank worse. I still don't know where my fucking food is. Everything used to be on top of the 40 over there. My laptop, all my fish foods, everything. Now it's
yeah, you're a little backwards. It's in the complete opposite end of the room now.
Yeah, it's storing my food down at this end of the tank, and this end of the room, and I got my laptop sitting on top of 29. I'm all kinds of discombobulated. And the shrimp you threw in here earlier is still just floating around.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was going to pick them out if they don't get picked off. These fish aren't really used to any surface.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really have any surface feeding fish in here. Not that they can't feed from the surface, but they're not specifically used to that or designed to do that. It's not like the rainbows. The rainbows are positively love feeding off the surface. They actually like splash out of the water as they do it. They actually breach. Oh, Jesus. Hang on, everybody. I got you sitting down there all wonky.
Oh, yeah.
I got a bunch of shit going on tonight. I'm not paying too much attention to the camera and whatnot.
Yeah.
Hey, Eugene. I'll have to get my tablet back before I read the rest of the comments.
Oh, here, I'll let you take over. I was just skimming. Leave it to the professionals.
I forget where I was. Oh, thank you, Janice. Oh, no, Shirley, are you okay? I'm just getting caught up on comments, everybody. The room has gone silent because I'm reading.
Oh yeah, and I'm a horrible
No, I'm just saying,
co-host.
Steve's
I'm
not a
just
good
staring
co-host.
at a fish tank.
Steve's just in there.
Right.
I'm the one on mushrooms, and Steve is just spacing out on the fish tanks while I'm trying to manage the whole show.
Well, how's the weather where everybody's at? We've got back-to-back little snowy days. Not a lot of snow. We got
I hope you're all right, Shirley.
I think about an inch or so up here where Dan is yesterday, and another about the same today. Nothing much by my house on the closer to Baltimore side, but still cold.
Well, that's good to hear. It's easier to break shit and seriously injure yourself just by falling down. Like when you're kids, you fall, you just bounce and get back up and keep running. If you have a bruise, it's gone in a day. Once we're adults, you can fucking get hurt by just falling. So I'm glad you're okay. That's good. All right, so hello to Eugene. Hey, Harryman. Yes, this is the first 60 I've ever owned. The 60s seem to be identical to the 55s, except they're like 4 inches taller. I think a 55 is 21 inches tall, and this is 25 inches tall.
It's about 24 and a half.
Gus.
Yeah, because there's quite a few tanks with that footprint, like the 55, the 60/65. I think the 33 long is like a 55, but it's only 12 inches tall, and that's a really neat tank.
Yeah, are you sure the 30 long isn't 36 inches? Because he had
36.
I think it's 36 inches long. It's the same as what we're looking at now, which is a 40 breeder. These are 36 by 18 inches deep, and that's where you get the extra volume. But they're not really tall. They're only 18 inches tall or something.
Yeah, I thought the 33s were like a 55, but just really.
Well, 33 might be.
Yeah, because I think
he had a 30 long, and
I think it's 12 inch by 12 inch by 4 feet.
No, that would be more than 30 gallons, dude.
Yeah,
I think so. I could be wrong, but I think that sounds like more than 30 gallons to me. You got the. Well, you don't have service on your phone, but I was going to say, you can use my phone and look it up. You can look it up on my phone if you want. I'm busy. All right. Get this tank fed really quick. The first food I grabbed was my
way the laptop.
Crisps. So that's what they got. And
thank you, Yinzers. 33 long, 12 by 4 by 12. So I was right on that one.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's the 33. Like I said, I wasn't sure about the 33. A 30 long. Yeah, a 30 long is, I'm pretty sure, 36 inches. I don't think a 30 long is the full 4 feet. It might be. I don't know.
Yeah, the 33 is the one that I think is
the 33 is like the oddball size,
yeah.
But a 30 long, I think, is 36 inches by 12 by 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because he had a 30 long and then he had this 60, which both of them seem like odd. Like, just get a 20 long and a 55, dude. Like,
yeah, they're more common.
Like every tank he got was like that weird oddball size that was really close to a very common size, but not quite the common one.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's the ones he got me. But Janice was asking earlier about the discus, and I did answer that. So I don't know if that's what you meant when you said you had a question from before we started. But the one orange and blue discus that we put over there has been a little more visible than the other. In fact, you can kind of make it out back there. It's just sort of sitting around. It was sort of drifting in and out. I saw it hiding in a cave. The other one I haven't seen at all. I still cannot find it. That doesn't mean anything. There's gobs of room in this tank for a discus to hide completely. But they're not like out and about, swimming around, mingling with everybody, and that sort of thing, if that's what you were asking. And they're fine as far as like there was no shock. They didn't die from the water or the transfer or anything. I wasn't expecting any of that. but no aggression. I haven't seen any other fish bullying them or chasing them. They've spent their whole life being terrified and hiding. Definitely come to the conclusion that it was not the minnows, or it's that tank sits right on the corner of the room. It's a 40, so it's got that 18-inch depth. So the end panels are big. And every time I walk in the room, I walk right past it. And I know it was just that's what was freaking them out. I would like walk past in the vestibule area at the bottom of the steps, or I'd turn the light on or off, and I would hear thumping coming out of the tank. It was literally the discus banging into the glass because they were panicking. And I confirmed this now that the goldfish are in that tank as a holding tank. Every time I walked in the room, the goldfish would panic, like to the point where I'd hear water splashing in the tank and whatnot. And so I'm going to make some adjustments. We're going to blacken the end of the panel so that it's just not whoever, whatever I do to that tank, doesn't matter, whoever's in it. I don't spend time looking in that end panel. So we just don't need to worry about that. We'll go ahead and just blacken that, and that'll, make the fish feel more secure. But that's definitely what it is. You can see now, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I've got the curtain sort of draped around and clipped to the tank. So the curtain is actually covering the end of the tank right now, and that's calmed them down a lot. So it seemed to be a pretty effective little cure for that problem. But the problem is the tank and the positioning. It wasn't the minnows or anything.
And even with this position, if you're not coming into the fish room, even with the way the light is, the shadows just walking by, going to do your laundry, coming down the steps,
yeah, that's
everything
what I'm saying.
affects
I would walk
in that whole area.
Yep, I would walk
and
past
it being
it.
such a common traveled area of the house.
I would walk past it, and I would hear the thumping and the banging, and the fish were in there.
But Yinzers, yes, the 33s are very hard to find. I've been looking for one also. And when you do come across them, like on Marketplace, they're there for like 5 minutes and they are gone. And they're usually outrageously priced. But I've wanted to do some really cool plants coming out, like an emergent type setup with one of those tanks for quite some time. Didn't have any, specific fish in mind, just more of the plant structure. I wanted some emergent stuff.
Yeah, hello, Yinzers. I'm going through my comments now. So hello, and again, thank you for the quick lookup, or whether you knew that off the top of your head or whatever. But thanks for the info. Cornish, how are you? Yeah, 60 breeders sounds awesome, but huge. Honestly, that's what inspired my pond. When I had my waterfall, for those of you that remember back when I had a waterfall, the reason I got a 40 breeder to have as like the foot tank underneath of the waterfall was because that big footprint. When you look down on a 40 breeder, it looks awesome. You're looking into a pond of water rather than this rectangle. I know it's a rectangle, but the size of it is big enough that it's a substantial body of water rather than this thin, line, like if you were looking down on a 55 or something. And that sort of inspired it. And I started with the 40 as sort of like my catch pond for the waterfall. And when I got rid of that, I was like, I want that same shallow but broad, like I want a pond, So I just sort of scaled up the dimensions. And honestly, when I built this and made the dimensions and everything, it had nothing to do with the dimensions. It had to do with how fucking big can I make this and still walk around it and function and set my camera up and so I made it as big as I possibly could to fill in the space. And now we got what I think of as the racetrack. You walk around it on the little strip of carpet.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I don't know of anybody but you that has a freaking pond in their house. And it's a mini ecosystem. It really is. You got the plants everywhere, active waterfall. It's a really, really awesome setup.
Yeah, we're going to do the 40 open top. All right. Let's move on to the next tank. Again, we don't have to spend a lot of time doing this. We got to get the work done, and every moment that ticks by, my mushrooms are coming on stronger and stronger. I do have a phase two. I made a batch tonight that was supposed to be a 2-phaser, but I didn't prepare it quite properly. I didn't put enough lemon juice in it, and it turned a little bit blue, and so its potency got reduced. And I said, "Fuck it!" And I just drank the whole thing, and then I made a second batch from a phase two, which I should probably be drinking here anytime now. I want to wait and see what phase one does to me first. Oh shit! Oh, that shit, that's pouring out too. Damn it!
No!
Look at all that coffee.
Coffee.
I just knocked my coffee into my 29.
Oh no!
So that's coffee with creamer in it in my 29 now. I guess I should probably do a water change on the 29 before we do anything else. Yeah, it fell over like right so that the fucking mouth of the coffee cup was over the food hole on the top of the lid, and just started just pouring right in the tank.
Well, we'll find out how caffeine affects fish.
No, I gotta do a water change on that thing. I'm not leaving all that in there.
All right, let me get out of your way so you can run hoses.
Yeah, I don't even know where. You might have to hold my laptop while we do this.
That's fine. Whatever you need, man. It's kind of a emergency here.
It doesn't have to be a huge water change, but I definitely want to get
Extra
most of that out of there.
Zoomies.
Can you get the laptop?
Yep.
You can't go anywhere with it. You just have to, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, stand there and hold it. Hang on, everybody. We've got to move you out of the way first.
Yeah. Here, let me just get to the other side here.
Oops. I told you I left just enough room to.
It's perfect. I can still read the chat. Winston, how are you doing?
I'm guessing that the fish would probably be fine if I did nothing, but we're gonna. It's not hard to do a water change, so we just will. Although in this case, like I say, Steve is here to hold the laptop up. Everything used to sit on top of my 40, but the 40 doesn't have a lid on it anymore, and so it's just an open tank of water. I can't put anything on it, and so I don't know where to put my laptop. I'm gonna have to rejigger my whole basement to get the to do my live streams again. I got to find a place to put the laptop. And that's why my coffee was sitting on the 29 to begin with. I don't normally set shit on top of 29. I set it on top of 40. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the water change. And you guys get back to watching the feeding. And when we're done the water change, I think Steve and I are going to smoke a joint.
Yeah, thank you for the stop sign, Laura. I mean, Janice.
All right, I'm actually going to take my coffee out of here. I think 9:30 is plenty, or 8:30 is plenty late enough to finish my coffee.
The Angel prefers decaf.
God damn, it's good coffee. I hope the fish enjoyed it. I know I do.
We were just talking about decaf. And what did you call it?
Sanka.
Sanka.
Hey, Winston.
Yeah, I eat the Hikari wafers also, Ark. A little bit of ranch, just like a salad.
Yeah, I got to feed the Steve. I've already fed the Steve. Right. Oh, I did lose a goldfish out of the pond today. I've been watching it for the last week or two. It's been swimming funny, spending a lot of time near the surface. It kind of looked like it was trapped in my new fish tower. It did get out eventually, but it looked like it just was floating near the top. And yesterday I noticed it kept getting stuck down between the rocks and stuff. And then it was just every time I'd pick it up thinking it was dead, it would wiggle again. So I moved it to my quarantine tank or my shrimp tank. And I figured I would just let it live out its life there. But I got tired of watching it. It just kept getting stuck under the sponge filter. And about half an hour before we went live, I looked at it again, and it was doing that like barely, like you had to stare at it to even see its gills. And every now and again, it would twitch. So I just went in and did a quick euthanization in the toilet. I didn't just flush it down the toilet. I mean, I literally, I did the rapid impact. I threw it against the toilet bowl really hard and ended its life. Then I flushed it down the toilet. So we did lose a goldfish tonight. That is one of the shittier parts of the fish keeping hobby is when you got to do the deed like that. But that's the way I always do it. I never mess with the chemicals and the slow, drip, whatever. Like I just smack them in the toilet and smack them against the floor really hard and it's over with. I know that's a little gruesome for some people, but that's how I do it. All right, I think I'm going to, well, after I open the tablet back up, because I just turned you guys off.
Yeah, I'm trying to position it to where you can still see the laptop.
I don't need to see the monitor right now. We're good.
Yeah, you might be right, Winston.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Winston. That coffee's easy to replace compared to making some more mushroom juice. That's actually sitting in the other room. It was weird when the first batch I made came out blue, like not really blue, but it had more blue in it than I normally don't get any bluing at all. And remember, the blue is caused by the psilocybin being oxidized. And if you see the blue color, that's lost psilocybin. It doesn't have any impact on you. And normally I make it in a way that I don't get any bluing at all. But this one I used less lemon juice than I normally do. Plus it was more mushrooms. So when I soaked them in the lemon juice, they didn't fully get all wetted down. Then I added more water than I normally do. So it was more dilute. So the second batch, I put a lot of lemon juice in it and it came out just as clear as a bell. Well, it's cloudy by nature, but there's no bluishness to it at all. It's just completely clear when it comes to the color. So I'm saving that for maybe another 15, 20 minutes. I'll drink that. Keep forgetting we got this damn tank work to do, so I guess we should probably...
Busy tonight.
Yeah, I feel like it's the mushrooms throwing my sense of timing off. I feel like we've been doing this for like 2 hours already. It's not even 8:30 yet. All right, we're going to go back around here.
You usually have a pretty good, perception of time.
I do normally have a pretty good perception of time. Normally. Yeah, watch out, everybody. Watch your damn head. How many times do I have to tell you this? Every time I come through here, you hit your head. We're going to skip the 40 breeder because that's got the goldfish in it right now. We're not going to bother to feed them tonight. And, of course, we're working on the 29. So we're going to skip over that. We'll get this fed. We'll get the discus tank fed. And then we can get right into doing the work. And we're throwing the vibrobites in here. No Face will eat other food when I put it in there, but you can clearly see he's eating it because it's the only thing available. He doesn't like feeding off the bottom. Even when I throw the flakes and stuff in there, it seems like he doesn't really know what to do with them, and he kind of nibbles at them. I throw a couple vibrobites in there, and he will drop whatever whatever other food he's already messing with, and immediately just go swim up and start eating the vibrobites. So I always just make sure he gets vibrobites. You can set that back down while it's draining if you want.
Yeah.
If you're tired of holding it.
Yeah. Starting to get a little crampy.
Yeah. Once we're ready to.
It is kind of pinching it a little bit. But.
Once I got to take the lid off and everything to get the thing out.
Yeah, laptops aren't heavy, but you hold one out in front of you for about 6 minutes.
I was watching
it worked out.
I was watching a video the other day. It was talking about the Well, the video technically was about the first Mario movie, but they were talking about like video game movies back in the day. And there were no real video game movies, but there was this movie about video game players. I can't remember what it was called, but it was really just a huge commercial for Nintendo Power Glove. I don't know if you remember the Power Glove.
I remember the Power Glove.
Yeah, that was supposed to be like the big new thing. And so the guy doing the video, it's like a sort of a mocking, funny kind of review. He puts himself into some of the scenes in the movies. And in one of the scenes, like it was the kid showing the Power Glove, and he put himself as like one of his friends, like seeing the Power Glove for the first time. And he's like, "Oh, that's so awesome! Like I'm sure in 20 years, that's the only thing anybody will ever use for a video." You know, and after a while, he eventually started saying like, "Isn't your arm starting to get a little tired? You know, like holding it out in front of you like that? That seems like it would make it more difficult to play than just, you know." And people are surprised. You hold a couple pounds out in front of you, how quickly that.
Yeah, I can feel it in the back of my arms now.
Well, when you're holding your arm out like this, the only muscle holding your arm up and out is your deltoid right there, which is
it's kind of small,
tiny little muscle. Yeah. It tires out very quickly, so it's hard to just hold your arm extended out in front of you for long periods of time.
I used to do the trick where you stand in the doorway and you push your arms outward and hold that for like 30 seconds, pushing out as hard as you can, and then relax,
float up,
and step forward, and your arms just kind of float.
I would always do it just against the wall, and then just the one arm would just keep.
But you can do the same thing if you have a heavy container that drains fairly slow, like a gallon or something. You can hold it straight out, and as it drains, not only is it getting lighter, but you feel that like it's pulling your arm up. It's pretty neat.
All right. Well, if anybody does put their DNA on the button, be sure to clean up after yourselves, please. All right, I'm caught back up on comments, and we got about half the water drained out of the 29, so we're going to let it keep going. We got to watch that heater back here to make sure that it stays submerged, because this heater
that's not the auto.
Yeah, this doesn't shut off automatically.
Most of yours are auto, aren't they?
Yeah. I do that because I always forget to unplug my heaters.
Yeah, I've popped the heater before.
So I think that'll be fine. All right, I'm going to, let's get this tank fed, and then I'll reverse the flow on the 29. Start filling that back up. All right, keep your eyes peeled. We now officially have 2 new discus in this tank. It's the orange ones I used to have in the 40. They both went in here Friday night. The one seems to be a little more outgoing than the other. The other still seems to be very well hidden. But overall, none of, they're new fish. So they don't know the feeding routine and all that kind of stuff. They're still going to be shy. So we may not see them yet, but they'll come around. You'll start seeing those 2 new discus in there. See, there's one right here. Front and center. Yeah, he came right on out. So they're already adjusting. All right, let me go switch that water around for the 29.
And with as good a flow as there is in this tank, even when the discus is hiding, that food is getting to where he's at. So he's definitely getting some food. I can see that there's food all the way at the other end of the tank already. Glad to see him out and about now. Is anybody else adding anything new or upgrading or downgrading any tanks in their fish rooms?
All right, we're now officially filling the 29 back up. And I'm still only seeing that one orange discus.
Yeah, I was giving a close look to the other side. I didn't see him either.
So that's a good sign that one's out and about and swimming around. All right, let me get this food over here. I honestly don't even know if there's still shrimp in this tank here in the bathroom. I feed it every day like there's still shrimp in there, but usually with a tank that's got a lot of shrimp in it, you see shrimp when you look in there. They're on the plants, and I never see shrimp when I look in that tank. So I don't know. It seems like no matter how many I put in there, they never establish a breeding amount. Just over time, they dwindle away. The other thing about the new tank and stand we got is I don't know why he didn't say specifically what kind of stand it was. He just said it came with a stand. And for some reason, I was thinking of like my stands that are like the metal rack stands and they have a rack underneath. And I thought I was going to be able to put my 5-gallon shrimp tank on the rack below the 60. But it's not. It's one of the wooden stands and it has doors and, I can keep my fish food and stuff under there. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that shrimp tank as of this point. I don't know exactly where I'm going to put it, that it'll be out of the way. I guess I could put it over the 60, set it up on top of the 60, balance it on the corner or something. And I need to add another light too. So we definitely need to add new lighting. And I don't know if I have any available. I'm going to go check now. Hey, Anna, how are you? TK, how are you? Moved your 10-gallon. Nice. Yeah, platies and swordtails do fine with aquarium salt. Hey, Robert. Adding some Buenos Aires.
I
was watching
Aires. They're so cool.
What?
I love the Buenos Aires. They're such a
yeah. I was watching mine yesterday, or the I don't know, a couple days ago, whatever. It wasn't tonight. It was the other day, and they were doing their looked like their breeding thing. We're filling a tank up. I just don't want. Don't want to lose track of the fact that we're filling it up. Actually, we can smoke a joint while we're waiting for it to fill up.
Hey.
So I packed this cone up tonight, mainly just to show Steve my method of packing cones up.
Yeah, that was extremely effective. I love how your little funnels just conveniently fit
both of them are
for many different uses. That's pretty awesome. Much easier than my method. I got just a grind it, dump it out, pile on the table, just scooping it in kind of guy.
I actually put a little too much weed in the funnel, so I've just packed it all in there, so it's a little tight.
At the top, once you get to the middle, it feels a little more regular.
It's also not quite finished drying, and so it's a little moist, and it's just packed in there really tight. So it's going to be a difficult. We're going to have to relight that a lot of times. I can already tell you.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
Like a bowl joint.
Yeah, it's really hard to hit through. So I did finally harvest and dry my Hawaiian puff. I made some of it into hash oil, but the rest of it I'm just going to let cure. And so that's the hash oil I got from it. I don't know how well you can see any light shining through that or not. But that's the hash oil.
Yeah, I can't even get anything out of it.
That is some good stuff. Yeah, I think it wasn't fully dried. I wanted to do it more to show you how I did it rather than to actually smoke it. I didn't think it was going to be ready. That's why I made it into hash oil. It doesn't have to be fully cured for it to be good.
Right, right.
If you're going to smoke it, you got to cure it first.
Yeah, because the curing's not really about the THC and the potency. It's about all the other stuff that's in there, settling down. You want most of the moisture out. For instance, especially for joint rollers.
Well, this is just not fully dried. I'm still opening and closing the jar once and twice a day. When it's fully dried, I'll close the jar up, and then it'll just sit for 3 weeks while it cures. Right now, it's not even fully dry. I'm still opening and closing the jar to let that last little bit of moisture out. So it'll get going. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I think you're really going to enjoy that 29-gallon Dade. That's actually my favorite tank size. It doesn't take up a lot of room, and it's pretty versatile. You get a lot of fish in it, or a lot of different type of fish. You know, it's not very like, oh, you can only have small fish. You can actually get some medium-ish size fish.
All right, we got about 1 inch of water left to go on the. Oops, sorry. Got about 1 inch of water left to go on the 29. When that's filled, it's still a little cloudy from the coffee creamer that's filled in there. If you missed it earlier, I'm doing an emergency water change on the 29. I bumped the. I'd set my coffee on top of the tank like an idiot, and then I bumped the coffee cup, knocked it over, and it spilled into the tank before Steve was able to grab it and stop the flow. But we got a lot of coffee in the tank with creamer in it, and so I just want to get that out of there. We did a pretty good job. I did about a 50% water change.
None of your fish are lactose intolerant, are they?
It's not even real. It's fake creamer. It's like the Coffee Mate chocolate flavored stuff. So it's just like sugars and the little tiny bit of coffee that went in. I'm sure that if the caffeine was going to affect the fish, it would have been a micro dose of caffeine. At most, maybe a couple of tablespoons worth of coffee went in the whole tank. It's just when you put something that's got, if you spill a little bit of milk into an aquarium, and it's going to look, the water's going to get really cloudy, even though it was only a tiny little bit of milk,
Well, I've had an old dude tell me before that a shot of milk helps with the calcium. And I'm like, they have other ways to get calcium in water, but if this dude's
true, but peeing in your tank is,
yeah,
might also help cycle it in, but you don't have to do that anymore. I wouldn't put milk in my aquarium. I don't think it would hurt anything. I just don't see the point in it. If I need calcium in my water, I'll just put some
milk does a body
coral in there, and the crushed coral will provide the calcium.
That thing's hitting pretty good now.
Like I said, I just had to get it lit and going. Once it was going, it'd be fine. All right, everybody, you ready for this? Hey, you didn't hit your head that time. All right, so this is the 60 we're going to be filling up. If I can see the...
Oh, my head's in the way.
So that is what we're going to be filling up. I do have a couple of filters that were already on. Again, we're just kind of replacing the tank with a different tank. So we're going to more or less put everything back the way it was. And I'm honestly not even going to clean anything because I want it to be as cycled as possible. So these filters are a little grungy. I may replace the filter padding itself, but we're not going to wash out the biofilters or anything. That's all going to just stay the way it was. And for now, I'm not going to put the sponge filter back in here. We're going to leave it. It's burning that inside the paper.
Yeah.
Just light it on fire and just burn that top part off.
I got you.
All right, so let's get these filters out of the way. Again, I can change the filter pads and all that shit later. I'm just going to hang them up on the back of the tank right now just to get them to go on there. Come on, God damn it. I think it's because I'm holding it and it's all twisted out. It's because the cord's hanging on there. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'll do it up here, God damn it. We'll do it live, damn it. Actually, you know what? Let's put the bigger one on this side so the shelf's not in the way. As much as I feel like I'm struggling with these two stupid filters just to get them out of the way,
This might be a more challenging evening than I thought. The mushrooms are whooping my ass, and I haven't even done phase 2 yet. There we go. I can probably get some longer tubes that'll actually take those, down closer to the bottom. And
do you have another shovel?
No, I'm fine, dude. I mean, you want to get in there and shovel some, I'll stand and watch you. But I basically have this bin full of. It started out with like the more river gravel because that was what was on top, and then as I dug through it, it got into the cheap like fake aquarium gravel like I've got in this tank. And then as I got through that, it actually got like sandy at the bottom. So it doesn't matter how we throw it back in there over time, it will self-segregate and the larger gravel will just come to the top and the sand will make its way to the bottom. So we're just going to fill that in until it's 1.5 inches deep or something.
Oh,
so
right.
have at it.
Cool.
Don't just drop it in because it might break the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, while it's shallow, we can put some calcium in there. Speaking of calcium, no, it finally went out.
Yeah. I got a lighter in my pocket if you need it.
Yeah, I brought one in. I knew we were going to need it.
Yeah.
All right, let me see where I was. $75, nice. See, I was thinking about getting a 75 for the goldfish. So a 60, for free with the stand and everything. It even came with a light.
Yeah, the light one wasn't
Morning,
much.
Driftwood. How are you?
And with the odd size that bulb was, like, it was kind
Kendra.
of lame.
Bobby, hello. Steve was just telling me about something that he heard an old man say about how if you wanted to add calcium to your tank, you could put like a tablespoon of milk in it or something like that. I had an accident earlier this evening where I spilled some coffee with creamer in it into one of my aquariums, and we did an emergency water change, and we were speculating on how it just wasn't going to be harmful. And so that led to me basically saying, yeah, if you want to put calcium in your tank, you don't have to put milk in it. You can just put, some crushed coral or something. And so as we're filling the tank up, I'm just sprinkling some crushed coral in the bottom just so that it's there. And we won't be able to see it. It'll be hidden underneath the sand, and everything will be fine. I guess we can probably just put all of that in there.
Yeah.
Because the larger aquarium, river rocks and stuff is what I want to see. And
over time,
I know, but that's all the bucket you're scooping out of. All the larger stuff is going to be in the bottom because that went in first. That's what the first stuff I scooped out. So some of it's getting in there.
Yeah, I left that big one on the top.
But yeah, that was just sitting on the floor. I just tossed it in there to get it out of the way. And of course, we've got my femur and my jaw bones that are going to go back in there. So we are going to add the bones back into the tank. And I will put a few rocks in there when we get to putting the Anubias in. I will put some flat rocks around the base of the Anubias just to sort of hold it in place. And that way the goldfish can't tug it out very easily. Just do a little more on this end, I think, and we'll call it good. I'm going to have to put all of it in there. You see how you're getting any bigger and bigger rocks now?
Yeah. It looks more like river gravel than aquarium gravel. Actually, for as tall as that is, we may as well just dump all of it in, just fucking call it good.
You just be careful when you dump it. And I'll try to deflect it a little.
Actually, stop. Just let it go to the bottom. You were deflecting it into the glass on the sides. As long as we didn't start by pouring it right in on the glass, we were fine. I just once you got a basin there, that was no problem at all. You don't have to worry about leveling it out. I'm going to put stuff in there and plant.
Right. There it is. Mostly level. Couple lumps.
All right. Let's get our first piece of Anubias we're going to put in there.
Right behind you, Dan.
Actually, we're going to get my first two pieces of Anubias that we're going to put in here. Wait a minute. Is this the third piece? Yeah, why not? I heard you say you were behind me. I didn't realize you were still behind me. So, unfortunately, I have a little step stool in the other room that fits neatly next to this tank because I think over time we're going to need it. All right, this is a little bastard that has been a little bastard forever. So we're just going to stick that somewhere in the corner or something. Not right in the corner, but kind of in the corner. And then let me see what else we got over here. This is a piece from the original tank. That can go in the trash. No, that doesn't even look like it's still alive necessarily, but we can stick that in there too.
It's pretty resilient. Like,
yeah, it's probably still okay. Now, technically, rhizomes shouldn't really be planted under the soil, under the surface. They don't really like that. But when it comes to stuff like the goldfish, if you want them to stay in there, you kind of have to. So in this case, we're going to put this one nice and visually focused, but we're going to put some flat rocks over that and just hold the roots down. And that should hold them in place. We can also put got a matching set of jawbones that I found from a deer. They're going to go in, and I also have a femur that I found from a deer. At least I'm assuming it's from a deer. It doesn't look human-sized. We're going to assume that's a deer femur. And I know for a fact that these are deer jawbones. And I also know from the hinge joints that it's a matching set. All right, let's see. I got a bucket of rocks that I pulled out of the other tank. We don't have to do all boring rocks, but we can't do a lot of rocks that have a lot of sharp edges or like ridges that they could sort of get wedged under, anything like that. As long as it's like these big, more bulbous round rocks, I think we'll be fine. Let me go look in the other room at the Anubias I have in there, because I don't think the one that we've got is the right one.
Especially with the size of those goldfish.
Here,
like I know it's kind of hard to see the size, like in
attached to a rock.
difference in person than through the.
All right, so this one's not even going to need anything to hold it down. This is still attached to a rock.
I didn't even know you were talking. I was talking right over you.
And we'll just throw this rock in here for good measure since it was in my hand. That's about it, everybody. I think we're going to call that good on the scaping. I told you it was going to be a bit of a letdown. We need to get water in there now, so let's start getting filled up with the water.
Yeah, I should probably like fill this up and then do a water change and get all the grunge out and refill it. But it's just going to be, it's not like the shit I'm bringing home from the Home Depot for play sand. This is all stuff that came out of the tank. It's just going back in the tank. So the water might still be a little cloudy for a day or so, but I mean, by tomorrow it'll be settled down. It's just going to be particulate stuff swirling around a little bit. But ultimately, it's not going to be much of an issue. I do want to get the filters replaced since we've got it all apart and it's dry. I may as well do that. I'm going to leave, as I said, the biological filters I'm going to leave alone. Even the actual sponge filters aren't that disgusting. They're pretty dirty and in need of a change. I don't know why I did that without having
Didn't bring a trash can.
Didn't bring something to put it in. I have little containers specifically for this purpose that are old OxyClean containers. They're just the right size. It's like these were made for putting this filter in, and I can put 3 or 4 pads in there. I am going to need to go cut new pads to get them sorted out. And of course, the grand finale of the show tonight will be, well, the show won't be over, but the most exciting part of the show will be getting the goldfish we are going to move them over tonight. So if you're wondering whether you're going to get to see that part, then yes, you will get to see them moved over into this tank before the show is over tonight. Now I need to go cut me some pads. I guess you can just watch the tank fill. You can listen to Steve chat or whatever, but I'm going to, what are you looking at? There you go. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, I'm not good at the chatting part. Well, let's see what we got going on here. Definitely, Janice. They're going to be all over the place. Well, once they get used to it, they'll probably go to the bottom and chill for quite some time. And once they realize that's their new home. Yeah, catfish, they produce a lot of waste. You definitely got to keep those filters clean. Goldfish as well. Like there's a lot of fish that just, make a lot of waste.
All right, 3 filter pads. Oh, Jesus, I almost knocked my, again, I just have no room in here, and I'm trying to walk around my stool and hoses on the floor, and the little glass terrarium I have sits on the edge of the pond, but it's a big round aquarium, bottle that it's in. It sticks about 4 inches off the edge of the pond, and so every time I try to inch around my damn stool, I knock into that. I'd much rather hit my stool than knock my damn terrarium over. Now, I've always assumed that if it fell into the pond, it would float, so it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. It would fill up with water. If the lid popped off, though, that would probably not be a good thing for my terrarium. Give it a good quick bath. Oh, shit, I forgot I got to do stage 2 of my mushrooms. It's getting late.
And you drank the first batch of what, 720?
Yeah, I think that first batch is as on to me as it's going to be on to me. I think this is not that big a deal. I can definitely go higher than this. So we're going to drink another 0.5 grams worth. And I will say that 0.5 grams did contain a couple of little tiny mushrooms, which are really potent. So this is probably going to be like a 0.5 gram plus experience. And again, I'm also just bumping that on top of what I'm already on, which is 1.5 grams. So as we discussed earlier, you shouldn't get any bluing. My first batch of tea turned out a little bit blue, but you can see this batch of tea came out just a little bit cloudy, but perfectly clear as it should. So that's a good batch of mushroom tea right there. Cheers, everybody. I'm not even going to flavor this one. Actually, did I bring my? Yeah, I am going to flavor that. I did bring my
Going
flavor
raw,
down.
no flavor.
If I've got it, I'm going to flavor it.
Well, I guess mushroom is a flavor.
Phase 2 has commenced.
That's disgusting, Zini.
All right. Hang on, my tablet's wet. It's not responding to me touching it. Come on, tablet. Damn, even my tablet won't respond to me touching it. What the fuck? Do something.
What is an ATO?
Why in the fuck is my tablet not responding to anything?
Did it get wet? Is it frozen?
No, it's still functioning. It's just not, it won't do anything. I've wiped all the water off. The surface is completely fucking dry. I never got water in it.
Well, it's recognizing the touch now. There it goes.
All right.
Modern technology.
Yep, I am a tech wizard. All right, I'm back. I'm on all messages. I can finally scroll and read the messages and get caught up. All right, where was I? I got a lot of catching up to do. It's nice with Steve being here. He can field the comments while I do other stuff, but I always feel like I should still at least go back and read the comments.
Yeah, I try to hit him when you walk out of the room, but I can't hear you if you're talking.
I know.
So
I did
end
mention
up talking over you, and I'm like, wait a minute.
I did mention in the other room when you were talking. I heard you say like you're not good at the talking part, so I added the Steve is the muscle. I do all the talking. Steve's the muscle. He ain't here for that part.
Yeah, I think like what you were saying, adding another light to that's going to look awesome, Dan. It is really going to look awesome.
What is that noise?
What?
You don't hear that?
That
Yeah. What the fuck is that?
Is that the filter?
Why is it pulsating like that? No, I'm going to chalk that up to the mushrooms because everything's functioning properly, but it sounds really fucking weird to me. And I do tend to get auditory weirdness with the mushrooms.
Look, it went away.
Okay.
And now it come back.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I thought it's something with the vibration.
Oh, I didn't
even.
Yeah, my laptop is sitting on top of it. So
it's got to be something with the vibration and having the weight.
But it just started all of a sudden, and it just immediately just distracted me because there was something different in the room, and I had to figure out what it was. All right, let's see. Still trying to get caught up here.
A dojo loach. That's interesting. I didn't think they could survive in that cold of water, like Canadian water. Well, I'm not even 100% sure where they hail from.
Is it fresh water?
Yeah. I meant temperature-wise, not the salinity. It's sort of a irregular fish.
I've never dabbled with auto top-off systems. I do have an auto shut-off system in my 60-gallon RO tank. I always use it. Fills so slowly. I'll remember to turn it off before I go to bed at night, and I'd come down in the morning with a flooded basement because it may be a trickle, but 10 hours of trickling water is a lot of fucking water on your floor. And so eventually I just installed a little float valve that shuts the switch off. So if I ever do forget while that 60-gallon tank is filling, it will automatically shut off and won't overflow on me. And I don't really use my RO water for anything anymore anyway. So that tank of water has been sitting in there for literally years now. It's probably not even safe to drink anymore.
And you used it predominantly for the fish room stuff?
I used to, yeah. Dude, that weird fucking vibrating noise is driving me nuts. I got to figure out what that is. Is it something sitting on the rack underneath?
That might be. Because I picked the laptop up and it's still. Oh,
Yep.
It's the air pump.
There you go. That's exactly. Oh, set that on the floor, dude. I set that up there just to get it out of the way when I vacuumed earlier. No wonder it was a new noise to me. That air pump doesn't live there. In fact, it's the air pump that went in the goldfish tank that I moved when we stuck the goldfish in there on Friday. You set it on the floor, dude.
Well, I got to untie it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Remove it. No, that ain't gonna move.
The Friday night when I moved the goldfish into the 40, I just left them in there. And then Saturday morning when I got up, I noticed the water was a little cloudy because there was just a small air stone circulating the water. And so I took the sponge filter that was in the 40 that used to be what you're looking at now. This, that's what we just swapped out. So I took that sponge filter and I put it into the other 40 over here just so there'll be a sponge filter in the tank while the goldfish are still in there. We'll disconnect that and everything tonight. Let's see. Just trying to still get caught up here. I'm really far behind. I'm not used to so many people being in my live chats.
It's the power of the hair, Dan. My locks have brought them in.
All right, I'm now caught up with my comments, so I can get on with doing something important like a dab. We're gonna go my seahorse. All right, so I'm going to use my seahorse, my little electronic dab device. It's got the little number 5 tip on there.
Love the number 5s.
And I never used to like doing it on session mode. Steve always does it on session mode, and I didn't like it that way. I would do it on manual. But the more I've experimented with it, the more I use it. I got to say, Steve was right. The session mode is much better. And so we're going to I've been using it that way for a while now. So with the session mode, you click it 3 times, and it starts going through a warm-up cycle where the light flashes, and then the light will go solid where it's at full temperature and ready to go. And then you got like 30 seconds to just sort of use it as a dab tool. And it doesn't really cool down because it's got the electronics, heating it constantly.
Yeah, and it does cool down subtly because you're drawing air through it. Obviously, you pull air through anything you're trying to heat up, it's going to cool it down slightly. But as soon as you stop hitting, it's reheating itself. It's getting itself back up to that preset temperature for, effective dabbing. And when you're using like a hot dab, torch and nail type of deal, the second you take that fire off of it, it is cooling down. And then you draw air through it, it is cooling down much faster. You touch it to a room temperature substance, it's cooling even faster. So, the electronic, just the fancy way of doing it to maintain that same heat level is much more effective. And you don't have to get it as hot. You can kind of moderate, how much intake you prefer.
Steve's also talking nonsense because once I start hitting, there's no stopping me, pausing while it heats back up. I start hitting and I hit.
See, I like those long sessions.
No, I do a long session. I do it till time's out. You saw the size of the hit I just blew out. You can fucking destroy that stuff with that. It really is amazing once you actually learn how to use it. Just barely inhale through it. You don't have to do a lot. Just what I do when I'm inhaling through it. I understand what you were saying about like getting your lungs to. It's hard to inhale so slowly. Like I crack my lips a little bit and breathe around it. So some air is coming through the tube, but I'm also inhaling air around through my lips. And that way you can you barely want to move air through that tube, and it just thick white smoke will come through. You're not really cooling it down because you're not really pulling.
Yeah, I'm kind of like full throttle, half throttle,
just
full
real,
throttle, off throttle.
Yeah, just real slow, long you know, and you just work along the edge of it, and you'll just vaporize. Well, you can do like, hey, you could finish up or I could finish up what's in that silicone container in one dab if I was, you know, dabbing on it now rather than you. I do like the way this looks. We are going to put a secondary light on it. I only have the one right now. And Steve and I experimented with kind of moving it around. And if we centered the light, of course, the center brace right there leaves this great big shadow in the middle of the tank. And then you also have the dark, shadowy corners. So I'm going to get a second one of these lights, and then we're going to hang one over each side, and it'll just be much more evenly lit. That, by the way, if you've never known or always wondered why I do these lights where I hang them over the tank, there's a good reason for that, and it has to do with the lighting. I found that if I had the glass hoods on here and I set the lights pretty much on the hoods, you get this, you know, the light comes out at an angle. So from here to here is going to be a dark spot. And the way these lights are angled, I positioned them just far enough off of the tank that the lights are actually overlapping each other before it even gets to the surface. So by the time you're looking down in the tank, the lights all homogeneously spread out, and there's no weird triangular dark spots and lines and everything. And if you put them closer to the tank, that's what you start to get. So we'll dial it in once we get both of these up here. I'll get that height just right so the tank will appear to be evenly lit. This side will bring light under the center bar this way, and this side will bring light under the center bar that way, and we won't have a shadow in the middle at all. And so we'll get the lighting sorted out eventually, but tonight we're going to just get it up, set up, basic functioning, etc. We'll get the fish in there. It does look really huge compared to that 40. I know it's only, well, I guess it's 20 gallons more. That's what, 25% larger than the 40.
Yeah.
So,
but your viewing panel itself is probably,
he called it like a picture frame 60 or a picture window 60 or something like that. There's something special about this tank that makes like the viewing pane more viewable, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe that's the difference, different denotion, like a 60-gallon picture or a 60-gallon breeder.
That's possible.
20 high, 20 long type of deal, or 20 OG original standard. I forget the exact terminology. I think it is standard, like a 20 standard and a 20 long.
I've been telling you for years to do that, Janice. I signed up back when they called it YouTube Red. And again, best thing I ever did. I've never, like, I go in to watch a YouTube video that my wife wants to show me. She has a separate YouTube. And I did look into that. People say, well, why isn't your wife on your, I would have to sign up for the family thing. And then we'd get up to like 4 people could be on it. But I don't have that. I'm only paying $12 a month. So I just get YouTube Premium for me. And my wife doesn't want to pay the $12 a month. And so whenever she turns on a YouTube video, like the first thing that pops up is ads. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm just so not used to ads like we'll be watching a video and then all of a sudden somebody will be talking about something or somebody be singing. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And she's like, it's an ad. I'm like, oh, like, I don't realize it's an ad. I think it's like some weird fucking non sequitur in the middle of the video we're watching.
Well, another cool feature about having the YouTube Premium is like when you're watching a video and they have those in video ads that they're propping up their sponsor or whatever.
When you jump ahead.
When you do that double tap to jump 10 seconds, a little bubble pops up and you can skip said ad.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like paying extra for stuff that you don't necessarily need, but just paying $13 a month or whatever. I don't even know what it is now. I don't care what it is because it makes my YouTube experience so much better. And I do a lot of YouTube. I don't watch TV. I watch YouTube. That is my TV now. And so I get no ads. Again, you can download stuff onto your phone to play later if you want to watch it. There's a lot of benefits that come with being a premium member.
Hey, we just did a commercial for YouTube. Are we going to get some
I ought to get a little cha-ching
monetary compensation?
Yeah. Where the hell did I set my tablet? Oh, there it is. It's perfectly positioned that where I was standing, it's right behind the plant, and I just could not see it. I looked everywhere for like 4 times. I swept my gaze across the room. If I only had Jeannie's gimlet eyes, I would have spotted it.
Well, I was sitting, standing right where you were, and you couldn't see me in the room.
Yeah, I came in twice tonight looking for Steve, and he was right fucking in front of me. And that was before I ate my mushrooms. He was Doctor Who hiding. He was sitting real still, so I couldn't see him. Let's see. Yeah, my pond is all frozen over. We got snow yesterday, and I had to get out and clear the whole driveway and do all that dumb shit. And I did not use my torch. And then we got snow again this morning. I had to go out there and do it all again, except today I did it the lazy way. I just threw salt all over it, and it cleared it out enough. I know Steve's got four-wheel drive. I've got four-wheel drive. I'm not expecting any deliveries, so my driveway doesn't have to be perfect. My wife doesn't have to go back to work till Tuesday, so we're fine.
Well, it is supposed to get frigid Tuesday. I think the high is like 22. It's supposed to be a little breezy, so the real feel might be like 8 degrees or something.
Yeah, I don't have to go anywhere
Tuesday's supposed to be freaking
I'll be
miserable.
hunkered down in my basement watching videos on Tuesday, sitting in front of my space heater, my glorious, glorious space heater.
I noticed you said that Fluval stratum destroyed your seals. I have stratum, a mix of stratum and other things in my 29, and I've never had any leaks. That tank's been running for probably 8 years now. Should I be concerned, Mike?
Yeah, I don't know why everybody is $13.99. Okay, it was $5.99 when I first got it. Again, it was called YouTube Red.
Yeah, I was about to say, I remember when it was $6.
Yeah, so when I signed up for it, now it's up to 30. Again, $14 a month. I'll pay $14 a month to not fucking sit through ads. Like that's. I know people say you can use ad blockers, but that often will fuck with the videos, and it's just weird shit. And as far as I'm concerned, when you put an ad blocker app in your phone, there's a reason you're getting an ad. Like they're getting all your information, and so like I don't like doing the ad blocker apps and all that shit. I'd just rather pay the money and do the real deal. I'm one of those crazy people that believes in like paying your own way and paying what you are getting for rather than cheating my way around it. All right, we got a little bit of tank filling left to do. I know what I need. I need a drink of my damn iced tea. And in probably about 20 minutes or so, we're going to be getting the fish transferred over. So get ready, everybody. It's not yet, but it'll be happening soon. Man, these mushrooms are whooping my ass. I can't find any damn thing. Honestly, what it is you being here.
Me?
Yeah, this isn't my normal live stream. The laptop's in a different position. My fish room now looks different. You're here. This is just like a whole completely new experience. I'm completely out of my normal routine.
Been here on the stream before.
Oh, I know, and it fucks me up. I burned my goddamn basement down last time you were here doing something. Like, I have a set way of doing things, and when there's this weird other element to it that I'm not used to, when I first put the disco ball up, it threw me off because I'm just not used to the lights in the room, and it just
Well, at least it spins with the direction that you feed the tanks and all. If it would spin the other way, I would imagine it would be a little more disorienting.
I don't pay any attention to that at all, dude. I know you've brought that up before, but like the rotation, maybe if it rotated the other direction, it would subconsciously affect me or something.
Right.
But like the movement and the direction of the movement never crosses my mind. Now, it's also in a clockwise direction, which is just natural circadian, the sun movement and all of that is always, that's why we have clockwise. It's because of the fucking way the earth rotates. It makes the shadows move in that direction, and if you used a sundial, the shadow would move in that direction. And so that possibly I don't think about it because it's clockwise. If it was counter, or some people call it anti-clockwise, maybe that would like subtly rattle my brain.
I've never heard it referred to as anti-clockwise.
It's a UK thing. It's not American. They call it.
I'm not well traveled.
I'm not either, but I watch.
When I think anti-clock, it's like organization against time.
There probably is one. That's interesting, Mike. I don't know anything about the stratum. I've heard a lot of different people talk about it over the years and ask me questions about it, and I still All I know is it's something that's supposed to like lower and stabilize pH. So if it is something that's designed to lower pH, it could possibly have a chemical interaction with the, silicone in some way. The lower pH might make it brittle or something. I don't know. But I mean, I have tanks with low pH and it doesn't do anything to silicone in that case. So I don't know.
Was it the red color? Because I do have the black. I don't know if it's maybe something in the dye. Because this is the first I'm hearing of acidity, potentially destroying the silicone type of thing. Because like I said, my tank's been running for 8 years. I think 8 years.
Yeah, and I would think again, like with the parasites and the fish food, like if that was the case, they wouldn't sell it anymore. I just can't imagine, like if you use our product, it'll fix your water, but your tank is going to leak in a few years.
Well, it definitely like lowers pH. It's basically clay balls, but
that's what it's designed to do.
I didn't like it because the things I was planning, it doesn't seem to hold it very well. Like the I'm at a loss. What's the stuff you use? The Eco Complete. That when you stick a plant in that substrate, it's there. It's going to hold it. But with the stratum, I had to mix some gravel and other things to kind of weigh it down to really hold the plant. Now, once they're rooted, obviously they're fine. But that just first initial hold, I definitely had to mix some gravel with it. And then it ended up being this 3-way mix of a little bit of aragonite and things and a lot of gravel. Well, 2 different types of gravel and the stratum. Wow, that's crazy.
Oh. I don't know if you saw what I was doing. I was just using my hand to scoop water up and pour it into the where the impeller is to prime them and get them flowing again.
Yeah, I have a cup by my tank that I just scoop.
Yeah, I just use my hand. I don't have to do it that often.
Well, I have the Aqua Clear filter on it, and about every 3rd time I do a water change, I actually got to scoop some water to get it to jump start. Sometimes it'll do it by itself, but
yeah, the only time these will, if the water level goes below the opening, it'll siphon the water back out of the filter and drain the filter, and then it's empty, and you got to fill it back up to get the flow again. But if you just shut it off and do a water change, there's just a standing pool of water in there, as long as it doesn't siphon back out.
Right. Yeah, the Aqua Clear, it stays full. Like the hang on the back itself is full. Yeah. It doesn't siphon back out into the tank. But sometimes,
well, this doesn't siphon all of it, because where the impeller is about halfway up, and then the tank actually sits lower than that.
Right.
So it only siphons it to where this suctions, and then everything in the tank below that is still sitting in there. So if it does siphon back out, and then you pick the canister up thinking that it's siphoned, it's going to still splash water all over you and everything. So, all right, everybody, we're almost there. Look, I barely got this filter started, and we already got shit stuck to it. I think that was there from original, though, because that's just some floating. We'll throw it in my 125. I always wonder about the kind of people that treat every single tank like it's a surgical procedure, and like they wash their tools between, like they won't use a dip net until they sterilized it, and then they put it in their next tank. I pick shit out of one tank and throw it in the next just to keep it there for a few minutes until I grab it and put it in the tank it's going to go in. And I mix and match shit like that all the time. Now, if I had a tank where I thought something was wrong with it, or I had a sick fish in there or something, that might be different. But like, what's in this tank that I'm going to like put in? Like, if I've got shit that I'm that worried about, like I should be addressing that, not isolating all my tanks so that each one stays separate from the others. That just seems like a weird way of addressing that. All right, we're getting really close to being full, but my basement's not level because it's a basement. It's designed to drain to one end of the basement if it ever floods. And I don't prop, I just put them on the floor. So everything's a little bit off level. And if you look at the one end down here, we're still about a 1/4 inch away, and we're already above the plastic on this side. So Gonna wait till we're above the plastic on that side, and then we'll call that full. And the temperature feels fine. It's goldfish, so they can adjust to pretty solid temperature shifts, and I don't even think this is going to be much of one. I'll double check what the temperature is just to see, out of curiosity. Forgot I've been keeping my thing over here so I can measure the temperature of my mushrooms as I'm drying them. All right, that needs to get turned off right away. And it's a 72.3, so that's what they've been sitting at anyway. I just got it pretty much nailed it perfectly just by eyeballing it. So they're not going to experience any temperature transition at all. They're going from 72 to 72. Actually, let's double check the tank they're in now, see how accurate I am. Their old tank was 72. This tank is 69.4. Nice. So it's actually going to be a little bit warmer in their new home. All right, let's prepare for this so I don't be tripping over a bunch of shit.
Hey, Mel.
No. All right, we'll get the hose put away. Bring the net back with us.
Hey, Fox and family. Yeah, that's the goldfish's new house.
And I'm not even going to bother to move the camera. You don't need to see my back while I'm scooping them out, but you will get to see me bring them over there and release them for you.
Here, let me get one of these out of here.
You can both have it if you want.
Oh, I was going to turn one on and
Nah, that's all right. All right, so Steve had asked me about which was the biggest and heaviest fish when I actually scooped them out of there. He was assuming it was going to be Wednesday, my black one. And I don't think it is. I think it was this one, my calico fantail. This one here is about the size of a damn baseball. And is just probably the weightiest one out of the bunch.
it's like an octopus of wires.
I know. I got so many wires in the screen. It's amazing. All right. This one is an Aranda. This is my medium-sized one.
Extra medium.
And lastly, we've got to find my black one who's hiding in here somewhere. You wouldn't think this big one. Now, this is the largest one as far as like covering ground. It's huge finnage and everything else. But weight-wise, I think the first one I put over there is actually the biggest of them. I don't know how this thing is escaping my net. I can't see it because when I stand in the way, there's a big Anubias in here that I think we're actually going to move over into that tank.
And goldfish are so fast and elusive.
I got a great big. No wonder I couldn't pull that out of here the other night. It is down rooted into the substrate, but I also have a bunch of big rocks sitting on top of it, which is exactly what I was saying is how you keep the. Geez, those big rocks holding it down than I realized. All right, it's actually growing on the rock. Oh, I should just bring this rock
Take the
with
whole
it.
rock with it, yeah.
There we go. All right,
This is a nice looking piece.
Yeah, this will
Real
both
nice.
give us a nice looking piece of Anubias in the tank, and will give us get it out of my way so that I can actually see the dam. I'm not going to be able to see my deer bones and my deer jaws. So I'll move those over here. I'm dripping water down my armpit into my side. That's such an unpleasant feeling when you're not expecting it.
Yeah,
All right.
72 degrees is a little colder than it sounds.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. All right. Now that I can almost see that goldfish in this tank is really cold, 69 degrees. All right, the tank is so cloudy I can't even see the other goldfish in here. I might have to do a damn water change to drain it enough to find the fish. I'm going to try to just corral it.
Right, you should have got Wednesday first.
I'm assuming she's back in this corner.
Yeah, she's right there. Up.
Oh, there.
Oh. Perfect nap.
All right, we got her. All right, well, on second thought, I think she might be actually the biggest, the bulkiest. Man, that tank couldn't hold any more water. The water's actually up above. You know how like there's a little rim and then there's a depression where you set the hood and then there's the actual top edge.
Oh, wow.
The water's over the little rim where the hood sits, but it's not quite up to the top edge yet. So I definitely probably should have not looked for the heat gun. I should have just gone and turned the water off first. But whatever, it'll evaporate out of there quick enough. We're not putting the hood on it. All right, I'm going to break that 40 down on another occasion. We don't have to worry about that tonight, but that's done. All right, once again, we got everything wrapped up right at 9:30, so that's a good time. Still have some time to hang out for a little bit. Actually, while we're still here, I'm going to go look. I think I have another light. I just have to hang it. If that's the case, I'll probably don't. Well, I might do it tonight. We'll see.
It would take nothing to hang a light real quick, especially with the drop ceiling. Check out the chat and see what's happening.
All right, I do have a Cree.
Yeah, you just Fox and Family. You just got to find tough plants that don't taste very good. Anubias is a good one. Any grasses or the softer stem plants like Anacharis, they will just destroy it. They eat everything. They're absolute vegetation vacuum cleaners.
All right, I did find another one of those Cree lights. I don't know if it's the right color temperature. Why this fucking tablet? As soon as it gets a drop of water on it, it becomes worthless. I wipe the screen down, and it still
any
doesn't
experience
respond.
with the UV sterilizers. I've never used them, but I would imagine they work pretty good. You have any experience with the UV sterilizers?
Yes. First of all, they technically are not UV sterilizers. They're UV clarifiers. Hang on, I got to get my thoughts together before I start thinking about that.
All right.
We do have a light. Hey, Fish Guy, how are you? What a Fox and Family, how are you? Let's see. All right. Just getting caught up on these. You can keep talking if you want. Steve, I'm just trying to.
I'm trying to think of goldfish friendly plants, and I mean Anubias is probably the number one. Maybe that pogo octopus plant. That's pretty tough. I don't think they would mess with that too much, but you would have to have a lot of room. Maybe some ferns, some of the tougher ferns, they wouldn't go too hard on. But then again, I mean, it's a goldfish.
Yeah, as far as the plants go, there's not too many plants the goldfish won't eat. Even my Anubias gets chunked on and chomped and stuff like that from the goldfish. Tim Pike, how are you? What do I think about a true UV sterilizers like the kind used on saltwater tanks? I honestly don't even think the ones used on saltwater tanks are true sterilizers. They're probably still just UV clarifiers. And they work well enough for what they're meant to work for. It depends on what you want them to do. I'll get into that in just a second. Let me get caught up on these comments here. Let's see. All right, I'm caught up. So the difference between a sterilizer and a clarifier is the intensity of the UV radiation.
If it is something like drinking water, that has to be a sterilizer, not only because of, standards of what is considered, medical or whatever for food consumption. If you're calling it a sterilizer, it has to sterilize. But the water that you're in those kind of systems, it simply passes through and goes on. Like I have a sterilizer. I haven't changed the light bulb in forever, so it's not actually functioning now as a sterilizer. But I have a UV sterilizer on my home system, and that water in that sterilizer basically flows through the sterilizer, and then that's it. It's into my drinking water, and so it has to kill whatever is in there on that single pass, and that's why it's called a sterilizer. A tank clarifier, the UVs, you get it built into your filter, or you can get an inline one that's just specifically, that's what I had, that is specifically for use in the tank. Those are clarifiers. They do put out a really intense UV, and it does kill single-celled organism, whether that's algae, bacteria, tiny little worms, amoebas, the little flagellate things that stick on their gills, whatever those things are called.
Oh, the flukes.
Gill flukes, anything like that will get killed by them, but it doesn't necessarily kill all of it in a single pass. It just breaks it down and destroys it. And as it keeps flowing through it, more and more of it gets killed off. It may not kill it outright, but it does enough damage to the cellular structure or the genetic structure that it can't reproduce. And so it sort of dies off and becomes ineffective. And over time in an aquarium, that will clear up green water, or, it will kill off bacteria that's in the tank or something, but it does it over time rather than in that single pass like a true sterilizer would do. So if you're having a problem like green water or something like that, you can clear it up using the UV sterilizer or the UV clarifier. But my issue with doing it that way is you're sort of masking what the problem is. There's a reason your tank is doing this or that or whatever. And so if you just kill off the results of what's happening so that you can't see them anymore, it's literally the equivalent of sweeping the stuff under the rug. Like, it's still there. You still have an issue. So that's my philosophy. On the other hand, I've also seen green water scenarios that just would not clear up on their own no matter what you did. And it took me putting a clarifier in there for a week to clear it up, and then it never came back or whatever. So they do, serve their purpose. It just depends on what you want them to do.
Do the clarifiers help or hurt any medication or affect medications at all if you were to be treating a tank for something?
I do not know that. Let me see here. All right, just trying to get caught up on some comments here. I'll be able to sit down and relax. Maybe this can be a new tank we can sit down in front of occasionally. Maybe that'll work out a little better.
Oh goodness, it's
all right.
20 of 10. I need to get ready to go.
Yeah, Steve's got to get going. He's got a 40-minute drive home, so Steve's going to have to start packing up and getting out of here. And I'm ready to settle down and start hanging out in front of the tank. So do you want me to sit in front of the new tank tonight that we just got set up? You want to look at what's going on here? Do you want me to do my usual in front of the discus tank? Because I'm not going to hang out much longer anyway. We got everything we wanted to do done tonight. I'll hang out and chat, answer some questions and stuff for a little while. But then I'm going to go enjoy my mushrooms in the other room.
Do you have anything for me to put that bud in that you gave me, or do you just want me to take the big container?
I thought you meant just take it in my pocket. Yeah, I got a bag for you, dear. All right. You can put in whatever you want when you get home, but I'll give it to you in baggie.
Yeah, I just didn't think a bucket for a single.
Did you want any mushrooms?
Yeah, I might take a couple of those.
I'll throw them all in the same bag. I don't think I need to label them. You'll be able to tell which one's the bud and which ones are the mushrooms I trust.
Yeah, I think I got enough experience with botanicals that I can tell the difference between a flower and a mushroom.
Yeah, you're aged and wise enough to know the difference now.
Right.
The student has
I
become
gotta
the
take
teacher.
Take the microphone off.
Yeah, you definitely gotta leave the microphone here. I'll give you the nicer, bigger, filled out looking ones. They're more, predictable in their dosing. I don't mind eating them small,
All right,
shriveled up
everybody.
looking
It
weird
was
little
fun,
bastards.
being on the live stream tonight. Nice chatting with everybody. Cool, actually doing stuff and helping out. Awesome stream tonight. Good night, all. See y'all next time.
All right, and I know that sounded like an official sign off for the live stream. That was just Steve saying good night, everybody. I'm still here.
Yeah, I don't know how to turn this off.
Yeah, just put it back, hang it back up.
Oh, right in the little clippy thing.
Yep, just like that. Perfect.
Turned off. Awesome. Thank you, Dan.
All right,
You are the
Jude.
man.
Instead of taking the trash out this time, can you? Oh, you got your stuff.
Yeah, I was
I'll get
gathering my bag here.
That's fine. I'll set this.
My satchel.
All right, man, I'll be there in a minute. And again, leave your comments as to whether you want to see me sitting in front of the new tank. Oh, don't forget your sugar and spice stuff here.
Oh yeah.
That would have sucked.
Oh, fucking right it would have.
Steve had like sugar and sauce, or whatever they call it. It's basically, good high quality concentrate. And it was sitting on the counter in here from when we were doing dabs earlier. And he almost walked out without it. That would have sucked getting home and don't have your shit.
Run that up.
Yeah, that's fine, dude.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Dan.
All right, thanks for your help, dude. I appreciate it a lot.
Not a problem, man. Anytime.
All right, see ya. Drive safe.
Oh, I will.
Let me know when you're home safe. All right, I am back. It is just me now. Steve has officially left the building. I do have. This is the. This is the kind of light I like to use. It's made by Cree. It's the equivalent of 100. It's only like 17 watts or something, but it's the equivalent of 150 watt floodlight. Of course, it's an outdoor light, so they're all waterproof and everything. But it's got a Cree LED in it, and the color rendering on this is amazing. It's as close to natural daylight as you could possibly get. And I think this is the correct. I like the 5000K. They have a 5000 and a 3000, and the 3000 is a little too yellowy, soft for me. I like the 5000. 5000 is about the midday sun equivalent. 3000 is like late evening or early morning. And I don't see the actual. And they are dimmable as well. It just says daylight. It's somewhere on here. I'm just not seeing it with my old man eyes. I need to go into fill mode. Oh, bright white 3000K. So this is a 3000K, but this is the only one of them that I have. And so we're going to have to try this. We're not going to hook it up now, but I do have one. So the next time you see this tank, it's going to have two of these on there. Although I got to admit, it's going to look odd because this is a 5000K. And if we put the other one on there, you're definitely going to see the difference between one and the other. So they're all hunkered down in the corner over there, getting used to the new environment. Tank's so big, I don't know where to put the camera and point at it. It's like looking at a big screen TV. It's so huge. All right, let me get my tablet. I'll get caught up, find out where you guys want me sitting. All right. All right, I will let Steve know you all sent him the wishes for safe travels, etc. All right, that's another one for the new tank. I need a fill emoji. I do need a fill emoji. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying your learning curve there, Fox family. Oh, yeah, Steve's going to stream on his way home. Zini does have good emoji ideas, although I've got the best GIF ideas. All right, everybody, we're going to sit in front of this tank tonight because why not? I'm only going to be here for a few more minutes anyway, so it doesn't matter all that much. I'm going to go grab another joint, though. Burn me a doobie. One problem with sitting down here is that I don't have a place to put my ashtray and all that crap. I guess I can just set it on the floor next to me. Again, we're not going to be here that long. It's not like I got to set up camp. Oh, Jesus, we only have 15 minutes before we're out of here, so I'm going to spend more time getting my shit out of the other room than it's take me to finish the live stream. I am going to grab a joint, though, and that is in the other room, so hang on. I'll be right back. Well, I'm already in here. You don't know that, though. I'll be back on screen in a minute is what I'm saying. And so these are the last pack of joints that I rolled this morning, or cones that I packed, technically, out of, if you heard me giving Steve that bud on the way home when he was leaving, that was my last bud of Tropicana cookies. And so I did roll joints out of it this morning, but what was left I gave to Steve. So no more Tropicana cookies for me until I grow another seed. All right. I really don't like being this far away from my monitor either. How's that look? That looks terrible. Does that look any better? We're going to use that light. I don't know. The light's at this end, but the fish are all at that end. So I'll sit over this way a little bit. Let you guys see the fish more. Wow, this is definitely different. Looking the wrong end direction. All right. Got a cigarette lighter in here somewhere. Well, the real thing I needed Steve's help for was getting the dresser that the other fish tank was setting on out of the basement and bringing the stand and the fish tank in and getting it set up or whatever. He did also, shovel in all the dirt. That's just because he seemed to want to do that. So I let him. But that's not what I actually needed him for. All the stuff I actually needed his help for was off cam. He just stayed for the live stream for the fun of it since he was here anyway. But I do appreciate it, which is why I hooked him up before he left. All right. Shirley's still here. Yeah, I don't think he spilled any either. He did a good job. So it worked out nice. No, I've never thought about collecting spores for the mushrooms. We can go have a look. I haven't even looked at my mushrooms today. I know the lights are out in there already, but whatever. It's not going to kill them to have some light shined on them for a minute. And when I do a harvest under that one single circumstance, I did pull 2 out before the rest were ready. That's just because I wanted them for that night. Normally, I do a whole thing at once. So we're getting most of them in this corner and on this end. The first flush, they were just everywhere, all over the place. Then over the next few days, we're going to see more and more of them developing around the edges. So this is the second flush just starting to come in. But when I harvest them, hang on a minute, I got to use both hands to put this clip back on. In fact, while we're standing here, let's go ahead and I'll show you how I So I get the bottle and I do about like that. And you'll see how the water is dripping down the sides and everything. I then blow to get all the excess, water vapor out of there, and I close it back up. And I usually do that 3 times a day. I'm not on any kind of schedule. I'm just going to average it out. I do it a few times a day, and it probably works out to about, on average, 3. And then if I can get this fucking clip on here. Hang on. This is the most challenging clip I've ever clipped. There we go. And then when I close it up so that there's, some air can move through there, but it's still mostly closed. That way it doesn't dry out too fast, but you need to have that airflow. You need fresh air to be able to get in there for it to flower or fruit or whatever you want to say. It doesn't matter. I know what you mean. And I'm assuming you know what I mean when I say that. But when I harvest them all. If there's a couple that are just starting and they're little nubs, they come with it. And so the next cycle, or the next flush is a full starting from scratch every single time. Again, there was that one exception where I pulled a couple out because I wanted them for that night, but it was 2 days later. And then I did the whole entire thing. Like everything comes down and then it goes back and starts the next cycle. I don't randomly pick the ones that look like they're ready when they're done. I guess you could do it that way. I don't think if you pick one that's fully open, it would affect the way the others were growing. And maybe you could but I don't mess with it. I just leave it alone until I'm ready to harvest. And when most of them look like they're open and full, they all go at the same time. Now I got to relit my joint. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I got you. I see what you're saying, Janice. Yeah, that is definitely going to be an issue with that amount of light in this tank. Fortunately, these lights are dimmable. I never had it dimmed because over the 40, being a single central light, if I wanted to reduce how much light was on it, I would just lift it up higher away from the tank, and it would reduce the light. So first of all, we do have this hanging very close to the surface of the tank right now, so most of that light's going straight in. And secondly, I don't have a dimmer on these. If you'll notice my, all these tanks that I have the same lights hanging on them, those are the same lights. It's basically the same setup that I've got over my other 125 where I got the row of 6 on them. All of those are on a dimmer, and they're dimmed all the way down to the threshold where if I turned the dimmer all the way to low, they simply don't come on when I flip the switch on. I've got to turn it just a little until they just come on, and that's where the switch stays. So when I turn the lights on in the morning, they actually do come on, but that's the lowest they are. I measured the lux output. I do have a lux meter. And the lux meter where they're set now is 1/3 of what their full output could be. This one's at full crank. So this is what one of those lights looks like, unchecked and plugged in. So I will get a dimmer switch and we'll put them on there. So we'll still get that nice high quality lighting, but we'll just tone it down so that I'm not blinding, burning the fish's retinas out all day long. But that's a very good point, Janice. They probably are hiding in that much darker corner. No, I've made tea using a weed grinder before. I just don't like getting that mushroom flavor in my weed grinder, so I just have something. I do it a lot, so I have it devoted little coffee grinder. But I've broken it up by hand, like literally just broken it into pieces, and it looks like little wood chips. And I've made tea doing that before. You don't have to get it into a powder if that's what you're talking about. Hey, Chad, how are you? I already answered that question for you there, Janice. Yes, I thought so. Actually, hang on for a minute. Let me go see if I've got a dimmer switch in the other room. I might. And if we do, we can make an adjustment to that right now. I got like, give me a minute. I can't just walk through here. I'm cluttered enough as it is. I'm not like a hoarder, but I definitely have so much stuff that like I have paths that I have to take to walk places, hoarder style. And right now I got a bunch of dresser drawers and all kinds of shit out of whack to move all that furniture around today. So tomorrow is going to be my cleanup day that you all won't get to watch. I am looking where I keep all my electronics and extension cords and doodads. It's in a big pile, but it's all in one big pile, so it's all piled together. So if I had one, it would be here, and I would probably be seeing it, and I don't. So I can go up to Walmart tomorrow. That'll give me an excuse to do my favorite thing in the world, which is go to Walmart, shoot some video for Zini, chit-chat a little bit about whatever, and I'll be happy. So, all right, yeah, we'll get a dimmer switch. I'm going to have to probably, I think I used to buy those floodlights at Home Depot. I think they had a contract with Cree, and then they didn't carry them anymore, and they don't sell any Cree products at all at Home Depot. They haven't for years anyway. I'll go check again, I guess. But the last time I bought one of those, I had to buy it off of Amazon. It was like $18 for a single bulb. Even at Home Depot, when I used to buy them, the 5000K were like $15 and the 3000K were like $13 or something. So they're good lights. They really are, and they're worth it. But the Home Depot doesn't sell them anymore. So we'll have to get another 5000K. I'll put them both on the same circuit, and we'll put a dimmer switch on that, and this tank will be a lot better for it. Yeah, you're not trying to dissolve it into the water. You're just allowing the chemicals that are in the mushroom to dissolve out of the mushroom. So if it's big chunks, it might take a little bit longer for the stuff that's on the inside to work its way out into the water. But I would imagine if you threw whole mushrooms in a glass of water and let it sit overnight and came back, you'd probably have extracted all of the psilocybin by then because it's water soluble. I mean, some of it, I guess, is going to stay in the water that's within the mushroom itself, but it would move out into the water. So again, you don't have to grind it into powder. I do because that's the way that coffee grinder grinds stuff. It just ends up as like almost powdery looking. And secondly, when you do it that way, you can just make the tea much faster. If it's big chunks, you're going to want to let it steep a little bit longer. When it's a powder, you've got all you're going to get out of it probably within 15 to 20 minutes. It's ready to go. Just strain it and drink it. That's the only real difference, though. So I wouldn't get too hung up on the size of the granules that you're making when you grind it up to make tea. Again, I've broken it up with my hands into crumbles and just let it soak for an hour, and I got plenty high off of it, so it definitely worked. Oh, I will tell you about the squirrel feet. I don't know anybody that starts a tank off with RO water. I don't really see why you would want to start a tank off with RO water. The very first thing you would have to do is add all the minerals and stuff that you took out of it back into it so that fish could live in it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why anybody would want to fill a tank with RO water, out of the gate to start it off fresh or whatever. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. It would be more work than not. Plus, most people don't have access to RO water. They have to go out and buy all that RO water. So, no, I don't think anybody does that. You want it room. If you want to do it a little bit warm, it might go a little bit faster. But when I say warm, I mean like way beyond the point where if it was your coffee, you'd be thinking about putting it in the microwave to heat it back up. Heat destroys the psilocybin. I can't stress that enough. I go over this and over that. You don't want high temperatures around the psilocybin. So don't put it in hot water. Don't make tea out of it in the traditional sense of boiling water. You'll completely ruin it. Just put it in water and let it sit. That's all you got to do. Just put it in water and let it sit. It's not complicated. It'll be fine. Just let it sit in some water for half an hour, strain it through a coffee filter. The only important part of the process is the lemon juice. And I found that out earlier today. I made it by using less lemon juice than I normally do because I figured it didn't matter that much. And I got some of that bluing color. It really did start turning blue on me. And so I didn't use enough lemon juice. The second lemon juice or second batch I made, I put a lot of lemon juice in it. Shit was floating in it. And it was clear as a bell. So that's the only important part about the process is once you've ground it, immediately put it in lemon juice, let it soak for a few minutes, then add your water and let it sit for half an hour. It's just, that's all you got to do. So I took some pictures of some, all right, by Dave. I took some pictures of some footprints today I saw on the sidewalk that I just assumed were squirrel prints because of their size. But when Zini saw them, he thought they were raccoon prints. And I showed them to Steve, and he said raccoon prints when he first saw them. But first of all, there's no real scale. So you can't tell that. First of all, the footprints were like that big. If that was a raccoon, it was a tiny, tiny little baby raccoon because raccoon footprints are like that. I mean, raccoons have pretty good sized hands. They get up to like 60 pounds. So these were tiny, tiny little footprints. And the way, if you really looked at them, you can tell regardless of scale, because it was the two front prints with two other prints behind it. And every single set you could see was the same way. And that's the way squirrels move when they're going slowly. They go forward on their front legs, they bring their back legs up and set them down again. And so those little sets of four footprints identify it as a squirrel. So there's no question. And I took the pictures at like 10 o'clock this morning. When the sun was shining. So there was no way that I had a raccoon walking around my backyard at 10 o'clock in the morning. So all that put together leads me to conclude that they were indeed just squirrel prints. All right. So they do look like, as soon as you said raccoon, I was like, I can see it. But squirrels have very, like if you ever look at a squirrel's hand, it looks very much like a raccoon's hand, just scaled way down. If you look at a chipmunk's hand, it's scaled even further down, but it still looks very similar. And they leave little teeny tiny paw prints that look just the same as a raccoon. It's just scaled way down. All right, Dennis, I'm actually getting out of here too. We'll move the camera on up into the first position. It's after 10 o'clock now. I feel like I've done my duty. That's a duty. All right, we sorted out the mystery of the weird rattly thing. So isn't that a lovely view over the scape of the fish room? So yeah, that brightness in the corner there really, where is it? It's this way. That brightness really stands out. So we'll definitely have to get a dimmer on that. And I guess for a little bit, I'll turn the lights out and we'll do some disco ball action as we wind down for a few minutes. Janice already said she's rolling out, so I know the disco ball bothers her, so she'll be gone. Won't have to worry about it. My damn stand doesn't hold the camera up anymore. I'm going to have to do something about that. I don't know why it's not fully functioning. All right, let's get these lights turned out. The pond is already turned out. Actually, let me get my shit together. I still got some light on in here. All right, I got my ashtray and my drink. I put on pants special tonight. I wondered if anybody was going to ask me about pants and why I was wearing pants tonight, and was it because Steve was here and whatnot. It's actually, it's not. Steve, when he showed up, he was like, dude, you have pants on. I feel so honored. I'm like, it's not for you, Steve. I didn't put pants on because you're coming over. But I had to go out. I had to go to my neighbor's house to get that tank.
It turned and it's freezing fucking cold out. So obviously, even though he wound up bringing it over here because he already had it in the back of his truck, so I didn't actually have to go over there anyway. But that's why I put pants on, because I had to go out in the cold and go next door. And then I decided to leave them on for the live stream because I knew I was going to be up on that stool, bending over and leaning into the tank and all that kind of stuff. And I decided that might be a bit much if I was still just in my drawers. So I left my pants on. So I got pockets. I can just put everything in my pocket now. It's nice having pockets. I do like that. All right, everybody. Last thoughts, final conclusions. There's definitely perks to wearing pants. Well, if you've got to add RO water to your aquarium because of the water chemistry, if you've got really hard water, coming out of your pipes from the city, and you want to make it more neutral, then yeah, I can see adding, some RO water or distilled water or something like that to soften the hard water and mix with it. But I thought you were asking of like people just literally starting their first aquarium from scratch with like pure RO water and then going from there. Like you needed that blank slate to get started. The first thing you'd have to do is just add a bunch of minerals back into it. So yeah, if people do need to do that, and then once you've got that original mix that you filled the tank up from scratch using 50/50, now when you do 10% water changes, it's a lot less expensive if you have to buy your RO water. But you have to get the tank set up initially to have the right water in it, and once you've got that base water, you can just go on small water changes at a time. So I could see doing that. But I thought you asked about just like filling the tank with RO water, so you had like a baseline, clean start, so to speak. So I misunderstood your question. All right, thank you, Eugene. You too. We don't have ermines around here. And I don't know if we have mink, but I know we have a lot of weasels. Laura. All right, when I'm finished with this roach, which is almost gone, I'm going to call it a night. So we got about 5 minutes left. We have raccoons around here, plenty. I see them at the back door, but it's always at night. I never see a raccoon. The only time I ever saw a raccoon during the day around here, I went and got the cats, told the wife to go inside, and we went inside until that fucking raccoon was gone. I even tried squirting it with the hose to make it, run away, and it just kind of sat there like that with me just like blasting it with the hose. And when I stopped, it just kind of went about its sort of weird aimless wandering. It didn't seem aggressive, but it looked like it had done PCP or something. And so I just eventually went inside, and we watched out the window until a couple hours later it made its way up the top of the hill and was sleeping up in the garden up there. And then eventually I saw some rustling leaves and stuff. I think it went over the fence or under the fence and left. Once it wasn't in my yard anymore, I guess it wasn't my problem. But that's the only time I've ever seen a raccoon during the day around here. So that's not normal. I'm going to pull a Steve and set my mustache on fire if this thing gets much shorter. Another benefit of having that little filter tip on the end is you get a little bit of distance between your nose and the joint. All right, but I do need to go throw this in the ashtray, which I already put away. All right. final hit of the night. Well, final hit of the live stream, I should say, to be more accurate. That was far from the final hit of the night. And my final thoughts is my facial hair. So we'll go out on a bang. Every time I mention shaving my beard and just leaving the chops and then having to connect over with the mustache, somebody would, I think they were calling it a Van Buren. Like, so I looked into like famous sideburns, and the style I'm talking about going for is like the OG. It's literally what Ambrose Burnsides wore. If you look up Ambrose Burnsides, now he had a full head of hair, but it's giant, big, bushy ass white pork chops that come down and just go up and over his lip with the naked chin. And Burnsides, if you didn't already know, that's where the name sideburns come from. Like those were the OG sideburns. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I didn't want to do it this weekend because we were working on the other tank and I didn't want to steal the thunder. So one of these days you're going to tune in for a live stream and suddenly I'm going to look like fucking Ambrose Burnsides. So anyway, those are my final thoughts for the night. I hope you guys get to look forward to that. Hey, heavyweight, coming in hot the last minute. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to say thanks for watching. I hope you all had a good time tonight. I certainly did. It was another good one. Wasn't quite. I'll never, ever outdo my other one. That's just going to be so epically living in my history mental forever. I'll never top that. So this was a pretty good one, though. Anyway, I will be back for my members live stream on Wednesday. And for all of you peons that are just regular old public people, we will be back as usual next Friday for the live at 8, and then again Sunday, etc. So I always do Friday and Sunday night at 8 for the public. And if you want to join memberships for what is it, $2.99 a month now? Yeah, $2.99 a month. You get membership, you get access to the Discord, and I do a Wednesday live stream as well, and you'll get access to that because it's private for members only. So thanks for all that, and good night, Cornish. And I suppose I'm supposed to say so long, and thanks for all the fish. Good night.